was this close to quitting writing and then I got this email. It really changed everything for me, not necessarily in the way you might expect, but I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. In this video, I'm going to get into where I've been for the last few months. If you haven't noticed, I haven't posted in a long time. Obviously, I'm really glad that I didn't quit and that I found my way back to writing. So if you are in a rut, this video will hopefully be helpful for you. In the very least, just show you that you're not alone. I didn't set out to take a break. I set out to quit. I was like, I'm done. I don't like anything I've written. I don't want to look at it again. I can't bear to think about it again. So the break was cathartic in the sense that it really took me away from all those things. But I'm not sure that I was helping myself by being quite negative about my own writing ability and, you know, the desire to even write in the first place. I was very pessimistic about it. And then at some point something shifted. So writing became less of a scary thing and more of something that I wanted to do. I just didn't feel good enough to attempt it, which is so silly when I think about it now, because writing is such an iterative process that whatever you put down on the paper, you can edit and you can polish and you can change. So it just matters that you're doing it. It doesn't matter that you are doing it perfect first time. So the idea that I wasn't good enough to even try is so ridiculous. That might sound a bit harsh, and if you're feeling the same thing, I don't think you're ridiculous. For me, it helps to poke fun of my fears and to make them kind of flimsy, and, you know, saying they're ridiculous means I can just discount them. It just takes the bite out of what I'm scared of. And if you take anything from this video, I think it's to put yourself out there and to keep going no matter what. So when I saw this Curtis Brown Creative Scholarship, I thought, this is meant for me. And I don't know how to explain that feeling. I just thought, if they agree, if the people like accepting submissions agree that it's meant for me, then great. But I know in my gut that this was meant for me. And actually for a project that I shelved a long time ago, another book that I'd been working on, that I wrote the first draft for in 2024, I believe. This is the manuscript. I'd shelved it. I didn't want to look at it ever again, but I just thought about it and I thought, if I was going to fix this manuscript, this is the course that would help me do it. The other reason I ended up applying is that it felt somewhat attainable to get the scholarship. And I know that sounds bizarre, especially when I talk about I've been rejected from things before and whatever else. I felt like I was the right fit and the book was the right fit. But also I had spoken to an author called Lucy Rose, which is her book, The Lamb, which I adore. I'd spoken to Lucy Rose a couple of years ago when I was working in publishing and we crossed paths, and she told me about Curtis Brown Creative's breakthrough program. So now I'd seen somebody who had benefited from an opportunity like this, and I thought, like, why can't that be me? Why can't I give it a go? So the course is writing horror fiction, which if you watch my channel, maybe that's a surprise to you. It was certainly a surprise to me. I didn't realize I was writing horror, and it's so funny because all of my books have had a dark spin on them, whether they've been fantasy or contemporary. They've always had some sort of speculative element to them. And this book is literally about a murderous cult that falls apart and the very strange woman that's left behind. All of the comp titles and all of the books that I was reading while writing it are basically horror, I would say. So I saw the course, thought, yes, that's me. Yes, that's this book. I reread my first chapter and it was obviously first draft material. It was very loose, very messy. Had a lot going on that shouldn't really be going on in a first chapter, so I decided to write it again from scratch. I had a week to do this, so in every spare moment I was writing this new chapter, editing it, polishing it. I kept my partner up late at night reading it and giving me notes, and then I would write it again. I think I wrote it from scratch twice and then edited it very thoroughly. In the end, I had my prologue and the first chapter, and what I sent was the prologue with just a little bit of this first opening chapter. And I was really lucky. They liked it and they gave me a place on the course. I was one of 2 students who got scholarship places. The course was also being taught by best-selling author Andrew Michael Hurley, who has written amazing folk horror including Starve Acre, short story collection Barrowbeck, and most recently Soulwash. I adore Andrew's work. They're very slow burn, creepy books that are very character driven and place oriented. And I'm a real sucker for folk horror. And although my book doesn't contain all of those elements, I thought if that's what he's bringing to the course and that's his expertise, that's who I want to learn from, because he has such an amazing way with building suspense, tension, characters. and using horror to get into real deep-seated fears that people have. And that's what I'm trying to do with my book. I was also really lucky in the sense that a week after the deadline, they came back to me and they said that I've been successful, and I'm pretty sure they reached out to every other person that applied. I used to work for a company that did writing competitions, and I helped judge the work, so I know that it takes a really long time to get through the submissions and to decide what you're going to do with them and produce things like long lists and everything else. So it can be a logistical challenge, and I understand why not everybody can give you the news as quickly as possible, but I really appreciated it, and it made me feel so much less stressed, because as I said, I usually don't apply for things because I think, oh, I'm just not going to get it, which I don't think is the attitude you should have. I think you should apply for those things anyway, but I really had a good feeling about this, which is very unlike me, and I just wanted to be part of my misery one way or the other. So at time of filming, I have started the course. I'm a few weeks in. I want to make another video talking more about my experience because it has been great so far, and it's given me so much to think about, and I just want to talk about it. It's already transformed my writing and how I think about writing, and I've made so many changes to my manuscript so far. I am by no means qualified to give you advice on how to enter competitions and how to be successful, especially when my personal success rate is so low. I mean, it's gone up massively since getting this one thing, but it is pretty low. But I think the best thing you can do is keep going and apply for lots of things. I might have a little think and see if I can come up with any more tips and advice, because I think there are other things you can do to help yourself stand out, and ways that you can prepare and immerse yourself in other unpublished writers' work so you can kind of see what you're up against. But I might save that for another video and actually get into some detail with it. So let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. So Curtis Brown Creative's not asking me to talk about this course. They don't even know that I have a YouTube channel. They don't know that I'm talking about it. There was definitely no pressure to give anything in return for the scholarship except for full participation in the course. Getting this course has given me a huge confidence boost, and while that's been amazing, I'm really trying to figure out how to give myself the confidence boost and have it come from me, not from external validation. I know from seeing published authors talk about this and people that I know that have been published, but publishing is really fickle. There is a lot of rejection at every stage for every type of writer, for every type of author that might have published many books and had all sorts of successes. So what you can do to give yourself a thick skin and sort of confidence in your abilities, not only in writing, but to push through when times are tough and to keep going, I think is really important. So that's what I'm going to be working on. Hello. I was just editing and I realized I didn't get to say everything I wanted to say. So while it's amazing to get something like a scholarship, I do think it's not essential to get published to achieve the writing goals that you may have, to improve your writing. When I said at the beginning of the video that this has been transformative for my writing, especially not in the way you would expect, I really mean that. It's not just another thing I can add into a cover letter when I submit to agents. People put those in their submissions, but they do not make the submission good. Like, nothing can replace good writing. I have definitely been in a rut for a few years with writing. I have some things I gotta learn, gotta figure out, and I'm really glad that this course specifically is so well suited, because I think it's going to meet me where I'm at and help me bridge some of those gaps. You might not have some of the same problems that I'm having. You might be dealing with other things, or there's other areas you can improve. Like, a course is not always the thing that you need. I do have a lot of thoughts about courses, and I think you can definitely take the wrong course at the wrong time. Not to say there are bad courses out there. The only thing I would ever say really is that if a course is promising you a certain outcome that they can't control, like getting published, traditionally published, I would, really take caution with that. I don't think anybody can promise you that. I did also just want to talk about my book a little bit more because I'm really excited about it, and the more time I've spent with it, the more excited I am about it. So as I said, this follows the fall of an all-women cult, and it's sort of about the very strange woman that's left behind. So there are survivors of this cult. The cult is no longer active, and they live in a very big manor house somewhere deep in the Yorkshire moors. I think this book is We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson meets something like Yellow Jackets. So there is an element of like a folk horror kind of ritualism to the cult, which is really fun and disturbing to write. And then there's also this sense of survival. It's set roughly in the modern day, but there is a sort of stilted language to the voice. The house has been in one of their families for a very, very long time. They think they're better than other people. There's also a lot of cathartic moments that are probably quite gross and disgusting. It's definitely like a women-centric body horror, femgore, whatever you want to call it. And I'm just having the most fun writing it. I'm still early into the course, but I will say that getting feedback from other people that are writing the same genre as you, that understand the genre, that are really well read in that genre, is huge. If you want to do anything for your writing journey and improve it, is go and find those people who are writing in the same space that you are, that enjoy that area of writing, enjoy that area of reading, and get them to read your work, read their work in return. I'm reading other people's work on the course at the moment, and I'm loving it, and I'm just having like little explosions in my head of realizing what's possible and what you can do with horror and what you can do with writing. And everybody's coming at it in such different ways that there really isn't this sense that everybody's bleeding into one or everybody's influencing each other too much. It's very much respectful of other people's styles and their voice and what they're trying to do with their story, and it's just magical. And I've seen other people talk about this before, and I've definitely swapped work with other writers, and it's been amazing. Like, it's been such a great experience. But I think when you find other people that are working in your same genre and trying to achieve similar things to you, they will get it on a deeper level. And that doesn't mean that they won't ever challenge you. It means that when they do challenge you, they really are trying to help you reach the right readers and reach the people that would love your story the most, because that's who they are. So you don't need a course to get that. It is hard, but social media, like online communities, you can definitely find other readers and other writers. I'm seeing this course as an opportunity to improve my writing and to plug some of those gaps that I've known I have in my writing for a long time, but I've just kind of circled around them and not really known how to address them. And that's why I really believe having something like this on a writing CV of sorts just isn't the be all and end all. You know, you can be very well qualified. You can spend a really long time saying, I'm not going to submit to agents until I have these things that I can put in my bio, and I can say, yeah, look at me, I've got all these amazing things. But you shouldn't be waiting for that stuff, because it just isn't as important as writing well and writing a good book. So for me, this is the opportunity to learn, to grow, to do the work, and to rise to the challenge of it. If I don't, that's on me. And obviously it's great to have been given the opportunity, but having something like this is not the be all and end all. So that brings us to the end of today's video. I'm really excited to be back. I'm really excited to be writing again. I'd love to know what you're working on, if you're writing anything at the moment, if you're reading anything particularly good. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.